Okay, folks, we're going to pull something out we haven't in a long time, and hopefully I won't regret it. I think this is what I want to use. What do we got here? Flat clear. I don't know why I got this. Model Master Aquarel. Yeah, they don't make this stuff anymore. But we're going to use the heavy duty one, which of course is Tester's Dull Coat Top Coat. And this is actually a lacquer. And we're going to use this for the clear coat, the protective finish on these figures. And one thing we definitely want to do is we don't want to mix this with something that has any particulates. So I'm going to grab a new brush for this. And I'm actually going to go ahead and put them on here. That's going to be to clean the brush. And let's get these names out of the way so we don't have a situation. Literally the only non-acrylic thing I have here. Now the trick with this stuff is it dries pretty quick, it dries pretty hard, but you got to move fast. Because it tends to, if it gets tacky, you'll actually pull your paint off of it. And I haven't used it in a long time. What's up? Good afternoon, good evening, early evening, late afternoon. A little bit of both. Now, the interesting thing is I've never seen this before. The red's actually running a little bit. It's running onto the white a little bit. I'm probably going to go in there and touch. Oh, well, no point coating one I already coated. Try to pay attention. But this stuff is a lot more durable than anything else. You don't want to use it on soft plastic figures because this stuff doesn't flex. This is a flat candy, hard candy shell, so to speak. Okay, we should be good. We'll not mess with these guys until much later. It's literally Night for England. Henry Bannister. England, the land of toys. That's what I call it. I remember when I was a kid, those Britain's figures, I always wanted them, never got them. They're too expensive. They're way too expensive. You know, I would have just trashed them anyways, you know. You don't get those to like a 7 or a 6 or 7-year-old. And now I look at them, I'm like, they look like ass. Those were not painted well. We went to a place in Connecticut several years ago, and it was like House of something or another. A toy house, whatever. And they were getting ready to close, I think. Something. They had tons of toy soldiers. And my daughter she goes, oh, Dad, that's like the stuff I paint. I said, yeah, but they don't look very good. Because they're, mass produced, not painted very well. And, the big Britain's figures. The bigger Britain's figures, anyways. That stuff is painted doesn't have any shading to it. Whoever painted them doesn't stay between the lines. That's why they teach you that in kindergarten. Stay between the lines, so you grow up and paint Britain's figures. You don't have the flesh over on top of his head, and stuff like that. Like the hair goes there, All right, let me set these SS guys out of the way. I don't think we're gonna paint them just yet. We're not going to paint them just yet because I need to do kind of a deep search on what colors people suggest to do. And I don't feel like doing that today. That's a bit too much of an ask for me. Stop being such an ask. So what we're going to do is we're going to move to one of these Soviet guys. And paint them instead. Okay, so this guy's got the Pepe Shah. Probably a good candidate. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my source, even though I may end up not using it much. Let me find it here. I got this stuff from back in the day before the internet existed. I just gotta find it. Nope. Waffen SS uniforms in color. Nope. Red Army uniforms of World War II. That's the one we're looking for. This right here. I know it's backwards. Just one of those things. All right. So yeah, these are, I don't know about this guy in particular, but some of these other guys are later uniforms. And the later uniforms have these shoulder boards on the troops. They have these almost the German style. And honestly, they look better, but it didn't happen until much later in the war. See if there's anything on here worth going crazy over. Because what I like to do is I like to mix the uniform colors anyways. Here's a guy that's shown in two different uniform colors. You can barely tell it, but the tunic is a different color than the pants. So you don't want to use them if they're both the same color. It ends up looking like a pair of pajamas. All right, so what we're going to do is let's get some colors out here. We're going to grab Russian uniform from Coat d'Arms. We're going to use Russian uniform from Vallejo. See if I can find it. Yep. And then we got some brown that we can mix into it. And of course the ubiquitous black and white that we end up mixing everything with. So we're gonna flip this over. This would probably be a good time to use the wet palette, but I don't want to spend the next 30 minutes babysitting and finding all this stuff. So we're just gonna wing it without the wet palette. And I'll be interested to see how different these two colors actually are. And it's just kind of a starting guide for where I'm going to start. We'll put some water here. We're definitely going to need that. And let's put some of this Vallejo Russian uniform. This is the first bottle I have of this. So this stuff is 20 years old or so. Probably more than 20 years old. All right, and let's scoop some of this stuff out. And I hope they're different. I'm hoping they are. And they're slightly different. This Cote d'Armes is a little bit more avocado than the other one. Okay. Now, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got hanging here. Okay, that one's good. All right, let's get a little splooge of black and a little splooge of white. Now, when I was talking to one of the reenactors, Japanese reenactors, as a matter of fact, recently, at a reenacting event I went to, well, I was there for the tanks, but there happened to be other reenactors there as well. And I asked one of the Japanese reenactors, I said, is the tunic and the pants the same color? You know, because I know things fade something. And then he said something that I never really thought of, but makes a lot of sense. He said, even if they were the same material, the pants tend to be a lighter color because there's times when you're not wearing the shirt, the tunic part. So there's times when, I don't know, you're digging latrines or something. You're always wearing the pants. You're just not always wearing the shirt. So the pants are going to fade more. Well, never really thought about it that way. And it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, you know, you could have had ripped pants. And, you know, you've got ripped. Now, hold on a second. What do we got here? Yeah. Spam. You could have ripped pants. So you get your pants replaced. So now you got new, you know, so just, I try to mix the two colors differently. Now, what I'm actually make a mistake, so to speak, frequently is I'll make this first color darker than I need to be. You know, there's not that many recesses in this uniform, so I don't have to go really dark and cover all of it up. So I'm going to go a little lighter than I normally would. And we're going to paint his pants in this color. Actually, I'm going to stop because it looks like I missed some primer. So I'm going to take this black, I'm going to fill in this area next to his equipment. Now, we'll go back to where we were. These guys should paint up quick. They don't have a whole lot of equipment. This actually got a little too wet. Let's try this again. Okay, something's going on with this thing. The fan's going on and off. turn this off. I don't work without airflow. I've seen pictures of like, yeah, I do all my painting in the garage. I'm like, I'm not painting in the garage. I'll airbrush some out there, but this kind of painting, no. No, we need a better temperature controlled environment than that. So we're just going to paint this color as is. No frills, no mix-ins. And you get some ice cream. You want any mix-ins? No mix-ins, just a straight coloring, other than, using black and white to lighten it. We should be at the core color now. And I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to go ahead and pull a new brush for these guys. I should have one laying around here somewhere. That's not too big, not too small. Maybe something like this one. Yep. Yeah, I started painting as early as I could, but it's still, I guess, kind of late for you guys in the Old Kingdom. Try to get on here as quick as I could. And this guy's got a minimum of equipment. All right. Hey, Ulf. I was hoping Jeffrey would be on here. Not that I don't want to see you, but Jeffrey and I were talking about this game that apparently he's fond of as well. And it's called Brothers in Arms. And I played the first one and the second one. But I realized there was a third one. And there's actually one for mobile phones as well. And I also didn't realize that the company that made that game were the same people that did Borderlands, Gearbox. And I swear they do something else too. But anyways, I never played Earned in Blood. But I think all three of them you got to play a U.S. paratrooper, I think. They got this fetish with U.S. paratroopers. Try to remember to send you the Dr. Faust cold palette video. Yeah, I forgot how to even do it. I just got to remember to look it up. It's like a sock and ice cubes or something, right? A piece of tile. I've just been late. The wet palette works great, but every time you put it away, you feel like you got to babysit it. Like, what's going on? Oh, the penny's got needs more water, starts smelling funny, all these little like things within the thing. And I'm just like, I just want to paint. And if I'm painting a bunch of like Roman sandals, God help me, it's a lot more useful than if I'm just painting one dude. Like, I'm not going to take these 8 or 9 guys and paint all their uniforms. That's not like me. I'll lose interest. All right, now we're going to do the tunic on this comrade. I mentioned that to him, and he had never played it. Yes, I did. I don't remember if I played the second or if I played the second at all. I definitely played the first one, and it ran like trash. The aiming reminded me of Grand Theft Auto. Like, move it a little bit. Oh, you want too fast. I mean, at the time that I played it, that was like the only World War II thing I had you could play. You know. Yeah, I did play Hidden and Dangerous. I remember the one that was on mission was on the Tirpitz. But that was back in the game. That was back in the day when one game that was really popular, I think it was really popular, was that Tom Clancy Rainbow Six game, but the one that was made by Red Storm. So like you went in here and you had to like plot which way everybody was gonna go. It was like you were having like the staff meeting, and then you would press go, and they did their thing, and almost like God, what's that game that's like Combat Commander or something like that? That's that way. Where you get like I don't know. I never played it. Read the book, never played it. Yeah, Hidden and Dangerous. Yeah, the mission. I finished the first one, but man, it was glitchy as shit. And that's the problem with playing computer games as opposed to consoles. There's some computer games that you could have the best system out there, and they just never run right. They never run right because they're trying to do the program so it works on every computer. In the process of doing that, it works on none of them well. There's several computer games that I got. They're like, oh, this ought to be great. Panzer Elite. There's a game called Panzer Elite. It was a tank simulator. Like, who would want that, right? Instead of a flight simulator, it was a tank simulator. Never could get it to work right. Never could get it to work right. Never got Across the Rhine to work right either. You know. So I'm not a big fan of computer games that are in that type of a format that have like frames per second issues because sometimes they just don't work well. But yes, I did play the first. I know I played the first Hidden and Dangerous, and I don't know if I played the second one. Like that one mission where you had to like sneak up and take the. That's it reminded me a little bit when I was playing that battle of on Gates of Hell Ostfront, where I was playing that guy with the flare pistol. I'm like switch to whatever weapon, and I was like sneaking up. And it reminded me of Hidden and Dangerous. Of course, Hidden and Dangerous would have been really glitchy and looked like ass. But there's that one mission that was on the fog. It was all foggy, and it was like in Yugoslavia or something like that. You had to take out the sentries, and I don't like any of those games where it's like you have to be quiet. But if something goes sideways, the game's not over, right? You have to fight your way out. That's how I want. Not like, oh, you blew it, start over. Yeah, Hidden and Dangerous. One that was on like capsized the capsized turpits or something. I don't remember any of the other ones. That and the bridge. I remember like going into the sewer. And I think you could play that one in real time. You could give people orders, and then they can go do those. And then, you can like tell people, hey, go over to this part, and then they wait there for you. And then you take command of one guy, like a Sten gun, and you go down in the sewers, and and they're just kind of like sitting out there waiting for you to show up kind of thing. And it's a game that I liked had it ran better. It just needed to run better. Hidden and Dangerous. Yep, I played that one. But I didn't play Commandos or any of these other ones. Men of War, I didn't play any of those. The ones that are like almost like precursors to Call of Arms, where you go and you're commanding all these squads, and you can go in there and like pick this guy, change his helmet and change his bandages. I never played any of those. There was a period of time when I had my first computer. My first computer ran from February 1999 until about 2004. And in 2004, I bought another computer, and we had that one until about 2012. But from 2012, and what happens with the computer is the first time you buy it, the first 2 years you buy it, the games that come out for it usually work pretty well. And then after a while, they want these RAM requirements you don't have that weren't available to buy before, or these clock speeds that just didn't exist when you bought your computer. Because I've always bought a top of the line computer, but technology and all that. So, after a couple of years, your computer's not as good as it used to be, and I swear that the ions or whatever they're in it, they don't work as well. You buy a computer now. I've noticed that with mine. I mean, it doesn't work as well as it did 2 years ago. I got it just before COVID, I think. It's not saying it doesn't work well. It just doesn't work as well. Like it gets tired. Like it's like an old man. Hidden and Dangerous. Yeah, you have like, I think 4 guys. You're limited to five and four guys on that. If I remember correctly. Which couldn't do Eastern Front stuff. Not that I only want to do Eastern Front. I want to do all of it. And I'd rather play Commandos than U.S. Paratroopers any day. And for starters, I'm not painting any troops that cut their hair into mohawks. I'm not doing that shit. I don't care what your reasoning is. It's stupid. Oh, we're doing it to scare the Germans. I'm like, they've been to the Eastern Front. They're not scared of you. Yeah, I don't know how good I feel about having this weapon. I mean, it's got a 71 round magazine, but you only got that and one other magazine, and it's not very long. You know, it's not like it's at the end of it. It's not like you have a bayonet on at the end of it. You know, so you want to use it for close combat, but you don't want to get that close. I guess it's a good weapon until things go sideways. But then an MP40 is no better. I'd say it's definitely a better weapon than MP40. MP40 is probably more accurate, but this has got a 71 round magazine that's with selectable fire. You know, the bullet's smaller. It's a seven. It's a what is it? It's a seven. I think it's a 7.62 by 25. But it's a super fast round. I mean, it's got a high muzzle velocity on it. I don't think I've ever seen a Russian soldier with two magazines. It's always just one, like one spare on his hip there. What was your favorite mission in Hidden and Dangerous? I want to say there was one based on around a Tiger tank. I don't remember what the hell it could have been, but I want to say it was one with a Tiger tank in it. It totally seems on point. That something like that would be there. I think they had some North Africa missions. I could be wrong, but wouldn't be the first time. All right, I gotta go to the restroom. I'll be right back, and then we're gonna roll into doing this flesh. Be right back. Okay, I guess you went to sleep. It's late for you. I get it. It's late for you. Oh man. Let's paint the wooden parts on the Pepe Shaw before we go and do his. What is wrong with his head? Does he have like a bandage or something? Looks like he's got curly hair, almost like he's a. I don't know what's going on with this dude. But this is the one that has the better castings. I like this guy's face. It's better than the other guy. All right. I like the color that this wood brown was doing. Nope, that's British khaki. Oop. Sorry about that. Wood brown's up here. Nope, that's still not it. Oh, it's here. It is like a relic of a bygone age. This is a great color. All right, so we can see some of the Pepe Shaw there. Goes all the way around to that point. All right. I may bring out the wet palette the next time I paint these guys, because stuff is drying pretty fast. Which is still better than it staying wet too long. I didn't want to accidentally clip part of his face and have something I had to fix. So we wanted to do this first. All right, so we got the Pepe Shaw there. We could do the metallic parts of it later. Let's get us a face going. No, I put off to sleep. Mission accomplished. Every cup I have seems like it sweats on the outside and I end up dripping sweet nothings on myself. Red leather and sunny skin tone. Don't need more red leather than that. That's my goal, is get this guy done tonight. I think if we do that, that's a pretty short-term goal. 'Cause I don't think these guys are, man, they're flat as hell, that's for sure. Well, let's do this. Let's paint this guy's face, and then we'll go and do the basing on the little angry children. So yeah, the Soviets had a hell of a time getting their soldiers to listen to orders and actually put on a helmet. They were very resistant to that. I don't know whether it's part of their culture or, it's like, I'm going to be men. Real men die like real men, not wearing helmet. I don't know exactly what the reasoning is behind them, but they were not fans of wearing helmets. And what I didn't know, and this is definitely not common knowledge, helmets don't really stop bullets. They might stop like a pistol or something like that, but rifle will generally go through the helmet. But it's going to stop it better than your skull, no matter how thick your skull is. I like these figures, but sometimes their fingers are a bit like oven mitts. All right, now once we're at that point, we're going to take some of this sunny skin tone and add that into the mix here. I'm going to take some of that. I'm going to add more of this sunny skin tone to that. I'm gonna paint his cap before I paint his hair. So I'm going to use the first of the colors, which the first one that I used was the Vallejo Russian green. Man, I really did put you guys to sleep. All right. I'm going to paint all of his cap in this color. I had a friend of mine, when he was painting the Russians, he'd made like half of them or more redheaded. Now, there's some redheaded Russians, but there's not a very large amount of them. That's a pretty elite group. I mean, this kind of a cap is not protective at all. I don't see any purpose in having this other than like recognition. And I don't know that it's that useful because the Germans also had a little garrison cap like this. Okay, he's got an emblem on the front of his cap, which I bet money it's got to be red. Man. Yep. And it's just like a red dot. I mean, it's not shaped like a star or anything like that. All right, now we're going to take this guy, we're going to set him off to the side because we want to finish up these Utes. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we've got some names that we cut out for these guys. Put this away. And where's the sheet of paper I have with their names on? Here it is. This might be the one that has the wrong size of them. I had it here just a second ago. No. Okay, this should be the correct size now, as opposed to this one. Let's confirm that. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't remember if it was 6 point or 7 point. Whew. Man, I don't remember. Not exactly the knife blade. I put it upside down, didn't I? Yep. Let me grab one of my Americans here. Kowalski here. I think it's the 7 point. I don't think it's the 6. Yeah, it's the 7 point. Okay. Perfect. All right. So we're going to get our little piece of wood. And this is the standard ground color. So the base color of all the standard ground color is chocolate brown. Okay. So we're going to paint some of this chocolate brown. And we'll probably do a couple of Soviet names while we're thinking about it. I think the first time I used to do this, I would actually glue the name on here, then glue this, and then I have to try to paint around this. It just takes too long. Yes, it can be done. It just takes way too long. So these youths are Willie, Max, and Kurt. Only them. The French resistance fighters also have only first names. If I had Volksturm, I'd probably use last names. Hadn't thought about that before. I threw a pop quiz on myself and I wasn't expecting it. Well, we're probably going to shut down soon if we don't get some activity on here. And that's just fine. I mean, all right, let's rinse that out. All right, this is Woolly Curtain Max. Let's look in the soldier names here and see what we got for the Soviets. Man, these were printed decades ago, literally decades ago. More than a decade, it's decades. More than 2 decades, actually. Okay, these are all the Americans. I don't know. It might actually be 6 point. Man, this is really blowing my mind here. Wasn't expecting that kind of a problem. Now, what do we got here? I don't know that I can do that on here. I've actually never switched it on the phone. Let's see if we can do here. Let's see. Nope. Nope, maybe down here. Chat filter, top messages. God bless it. There we go. Woof. All right, let's go back to the beginning here. Literally 9. There's also a slightly stranger. Yeah, I didn't see these, man. Damn. The second one was very good. There was also a slightly stranger World War II squad game called something like Silent Storm, which was interesting. They made the entire level destructible. Never played it. Hidden and Dangerous was like a 3D Commandos. In 2, there was a fun one and a sub pen. That sounds familiar. Sniper Elite also had some okay missions, although they tended to descend into testicle popping extravaganzas, and that's all I remember. I've never played any of the Sniper Elite ones. He must be called Curly Kirill. Helmets are to stop shell and grenade splinters rather than bullets. Yep. Summer or winter uniforms for the Russians. Sorry, I didn't. So this is the first one that I've actually changed the feed on that. So I might have missed comments previously in other feeds. I know how to do it on my computer. I'm not on the phone. Curly Kirill? Yeah. So, Jeffrey, I found out today that I missed a Brothers in Arms, Earned in Blood. I'd never played that one. And there was a mobile game I missed out too, but it sounds like that probably was nothing like Brothers in Arms and other than name. And name only. What do we have here? Okay, these are my African names. We won't be using them. They don't belong on the Eastern Front. All right, what do we got here? This is Americans. Oh, I see a Waddington there. The damn Germans. Okay, this is Soviets. This is more of those damn Germans and even more of those damn Germans. And here's more. Here's Soviets. I mean, yeah. This is more Soviets. This is, I can make other names. It's just like, I got so many. Americans. Okay, here's Soviets. What was this? Was this Americans? Nope, that was Soviets. Germans. All right, let's see what we got here. This needs to dry anyways. All right, you got a lot of Soviet names. Okay, what I didn't know when I made these is anything that has an A ending is a female. Okay? So, for instance, if you've got a guy named, if you have a guy named Pavlov, right? He has a son and a daughter. The son's last name is going to be Pavlov. The girl's last name is going to be Pavlova. So anything that ends like that is going to be a female, which is fine. I've got some female snipers, you know. I've got some females in there. So we don't want to use the ovas yet, you know. I mean, if I'm going to make a female character, it's going to look like a female character, not like, you know, dude looks like a lady thing, you know. You found a good Chinese name lately? Wrong Wang. What's up, Hoffman? So I don't know if you remember this. Back when W was president, there was a fighter jet, I think, that crashed into one of our planes. It was a Chinese fighter jet. I believe the name of the driver of the pilot was Wang Wei. I believe that's. I mean, I'm not making this up. I could come up with a much better name than that. Yeah, we got a lot of these, and a lot of these names came from Close Combat. You know. Do you have a plastic Russian nurse in a stash? I have one. I I think there's one that no. I have a female radio operator that comes in the Italeri set. No, but you don't need nurses for the Soviets. They don't care about their own people. Oh, here's one of Chinikova, two N's. That's a really long one. Here's a Soviet model, Maximova. Go over there, Maximova going to pet you up. Polo smack. He'll smack you with a polo thing. That's going to be the guy. I'm going to use polo smack as the guy that has. There's a guy that has a Bangalore torpedo and he's got a PPS slung on his back. And he's one of the first Druze militia guys that I got. And he looks like he's got a big polo stick. That's going to be polo smack. Sharansky. Soykin. You call him Soy Boy. We'll have to get a really limpy looking dude. Zoldak. I've even named guys I haven't even come up with yet. Like I've got a colonel and he's Kornilov. Colonel Kornilov, wherever he's around here. Here it is, Kornilov. All right, what's this guy look like? Let's get this thing to. Yeah, it's still wet. All right, I need to figure out what if these are in fact 7 or 6 point. I think they're 6. I think they're 6. It's 6. It's aerial narrow, 6 point but bold. All right, so let's get Kurt, Willie, and Max cut out here. Hainan incident. Pilot was Wang Wei. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. I forget what it was. U.S. being in a place they shouldn't been, and they playing chicken out there, you know. How's it going, Hoffman? You're doing a lot of writing? I was thinking about you the other day, and there's on my computer. I guess it's on this one too, but on my work computer, because it's got the other Windows version. All the way on the bottom left, there's like this ticker that's always like, you know, gives you this little ticker about news stories. And so I go down there, and it opens up like this huge screen of like a zillion different things going on, different news stories from all over the place. And I noticed that you get a lot of news stories that are from these sources that are like, the Westchester Compact, or, the Examiner of Eastern Wales or something. I mean, it's just some weird, some guy sitting in a basement writing a newspaper article, just like some really weird things. And you go to some of those obscure sources, it's always some opinion column, and it's like, man, you're just trying to get not all news stories from every source carry the same amount of weight. There's a lot of difference in, what they're going to put in the New York Times as opposed to, the Westchester Gazette. It's like, it could be just me, it could be you look at a news story and something seems weird, check it out. Got to check sources, go to 3 different places, but they're always trying to get rises out of people. Like, oh, I saw it on the news. Well, did you fact check it? Because there's everybody pushing every single thing, and very few people want to get to the real thing. Everybody's pushing an angle. I don't want your angles. Just tell me what the news is, or what you think as most accurate as you can. But I noticed that. I started looking at what they come from, because some of the articles are just like some really outlandish stuff. I'm like, there's no way this is true. And you look at the source, and it's the Appalachian Northern Star or something like that. It's just really, really weird sources. A lot of news is run on algorithms and keyboard research. Really sucks to be in the business. Oh, let's see what did you say here. Sucking a lot of writing lately. I graduate with your MA in 5 weeks. Hey, what's up, Victor? All right, let's get our Elmers on. Let's get our Elmers on. Let me get these little Yugen guys done. Bad Kinder. Evil Kinder. But no, I don't have a plastic nurse. Did you want one? Sorry to disappoint you. I don't have a plastic nurse coming. I have at least one sniper that's female. She has the semi-auto. I was going to say an SVD. No, we don't have an SVD. We don't have a Dragunov yet. She's got the semi-automatic rifle, which I can't think of right now what it is. The radio operator that comes with the Italeri set, which is actually one of the better figures. That Italeri set I'm not a fan of, but I'm sorry, Eschi set. It might actually be the same as the Italeri set, but the Eschi set. I'm not a fan of the Eschi figures. They're super necky. All right, we got Max, Kurt, and Willie. Willie Vanilli. One of my favorite Russian last name is Surovikin. I remember seeing the female radio operator. Maybe the nurse was from a set seen on Plastic Soldier Review. Oh, there's no doubt they make one. There's no doubt that they make one. Man, you could spend a lifetime on Plastic Soldier Review. The most impressive thing I found on Plastic Soldier Review is that company called Strelets. I think that's how you say them. They make some figures for the Crimean War. Not something I'm particularly interested in. However, the Russian infantry and their British infantry, and maybe others as well, but those two in particular, come with 48 figures, and every single one of them is in a different pose. That's amazing, and they look great. They, at least on Plastic Soldier Review, they look great. Why is that your favorite Russian name? I got a shit ton. Grupenko. Just 2 sheets. It is. Which was your name you were looking for? Surovikin. Surovikin. Nope. Gotta have a pop-off. There's always a pop-off. So I figure I've got enough T-34-85s, and I thought I could only find 6 the other day, and I realized, oh, the other ones are on the top deck. I have 8 green ones. One of them is a flamethrower, or one of them I converted into a flamethrower, and I have a white one. So it'd be pretty cool to give somebody like, a squad and a tank. So that's what I said. I'm not really necessarily building towards a game. It's not that important to me. It's more important to other people than it is to myself. All right, we're going to get the goop going so we can finish these guys up in the morning. Let's get. Yeah. One of my favorite names, actually, so Russian names, actually a made-up name. I don't know. I just sounded like it'd be a real name, and then I think I just pulled it completely out of my ass. And that was the name of my machine gunner, Petrushkin. And he's an old FAA figure guy. I don't like FAA figures. I don't. I have some. I'll probably paint some. I'm not really digging these guys either. I'm not really digging these battlefield figures that are sculpted by one of the sculptors. They got these flabby fingers, and I mean the faces are pretty decent, but they got these weird ass fingers. Looks like the red ran a little bit. I don't know why. I let it sit for a little while. It's no big deal, but I'm going to have to touch up the white on the armband. The center on the white. All right, and we're just going to stick the names in here. At least that's what the plan is. You just like the name. I think that was the Russian's name who set up that defense line in Ukraine. Yeah. I need to find that video again. There was at Historicon, there was this one guy that always sells videos, whatever his name. Bell and Blade is. I think that's what it is. Bell and Blade. And he's got, every war movie there. And he's got 16 of them playing at the same time at his booth. And he's not playing the whole movie. He's just playing snippets. He's playing the best part of every of every one of the movies he has. Like, that movie with the Admiral Kolchak or whatever it is, where he's the World War I hero and he's in the Civil War, whatever. That whole naval scene with his destroyer goes, I think it's a destroyer, goes up against the German armored cruiser, and it's action packed. Yamato's sinking from the Yamato movie. Uh, different snippets of different war movies. It's not all necessarily World War II movies. It's all movie. That one scene where they're knocking down the door in 1612, and some scenes from whatever the Polish one is with sword and fire and sword or whatever it is, and he's got all kinds of different stuff happening all at the same time. One of the movies that he has on there, or he's had on there, is this one movie or a mini series. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's shot in either the late 60s or the early 70s, and it's Russian. And there's more than one that fit this description, but this one in particular has these scenes I've never seen in a movie before. Like, it's got this couple, it's like a Kursk scene. It's got a German tank and a Russian tank knock each other out, and the crews, instead of they bail out, they meet in between the two tanks, and they're like fist fighting. They're not even like shooting pistols at each other. It's like, I think the pistol's jammed or something like that. They're basically going to, like, they're out to take each other out. Now, that's one of the scenes, and there's another scene that really caught my attention. Is this? I think it's supposed to be Berlin, but the Russians are on the offense in this city that has a subway system. So there's not that many German cities that would have a subway system in the 1940s that the Soviets attacked. It'd have to be Berlin, and, well, it's Dresden. Well, it wasn't turned to cinders, so it wasn't Dresden. Leipzig, I don't know. Anyway, some big German city, and there's a subway car that's being used as a machine gun post, holding up the Russian advance, and there's a Schwer MG 42, 34, whatever, one of those two, that's just being a nuisance. So this Russian gun crew takes a crash boom, a 76 millimeter gun, the field gun, and boom, 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 manhandles it down these stairs to go, like they're going to go take a subway, and blows the railroad car, blows the train car to bits. They were just like basically using it as cover. Trying to think of your favorite war movie scene. Like the end of Spartacus, the Battle of Waterloo was almost 100% good scene. I've only seen Waterloo one time. I don't like the fact that it's a bunch of Russian extras, because it just seems like what are you doing playing British and French? But it just seems kind of awkward. I'm not a Napoleonics guy, so I've only seen it once. Didn't say I hated it. It just didn't tickle my fancy. I don't know if there's a I don't know if there's a scene that I like. Once again, you're surfing on the internet and said, Saving Private Ryan used to be the #1 war movie, but now it's been knocked down. Check on this list to see what it is. It's some garbage list that shows top 10 war movies, and Saving Private Ryan is 5, and it's got Thin Red Line as 3. Like, the group of people that like Thin Red Line is like the group of people is like the same percentage of the people that dislike Kelly's Heroes. We're in a minority. Well, I don't like Thin Red Line at all. I'd give it another watch, but I remember not liking it. I came for spaghetti, and they served me something totally different. So I didn't care for the dish they were serving. Okay, we gotta make sure we get the right guy on the right one. This is Willie. Willie Vanilli. All right. The other Ute. This guy's Max. And he's going to have a pistol, too. You can't walk around with a freaking Panzerfaust. That's it. Yutes. They're the German Boy Scouts. Hitler Utes. I got 3 of them. I picked them up at a flea market back in January. I just call them Utes for short. I do want to get that set from that's made by, is it Mars? Somebody makes a plastic set. I got it in my eBay shopping cart that has a bunch of Volkssturm and it has some Hitler Youth guys and girls. There's a little Hitler Youth girl. And it's got the mustachioed guy himself. I mean, that's like perfect for a scenario. You got to go take this guy out. If heard of them, didn't know they were anywhere beside defending Berlin. No, they had them in all kinds of different. They even had some of them in the West. I'm pretty sure they were all inside of Germany, but I'm sure they had them in the Ruhr and stuff like that. But they had this emblem that's on that I never saw. I had to ask what it was, and it's this triangle that's kind of up here, similar to like what the Rangers have. But the Rangers is a diamond, so this wasn't just a really flat-looking triangle, and it's black, and it has gold etching around the edge of it, and inside the middle it says what district they're from, whether they're South Württemberg or what have you. Um, but yeah, they've got the Berlin ones and. I got enough Americans to fight them, and I got enough Russian figures to do, so I figured that'd probably be a reasonable combination. So hopefully this will be dry in the morning. But I picked these guys up not because I wanted them, but it was like, oh, they got Battlefield figures that I don't have? Okay. And geez, I got enough late war Russian stuff. Thanks to an estate sale. All right, and this one is it's Max, but where did he go? I have another one, so. The Gremlins from the Kremlin came. If you do take out the mustache scenario, don't tell the players who the character is, though. Maybe they'll have some decoys around as well. Yeah, and I got German generals to take out and everything. I mean, it's. I think it's well suited for that. You know, you could remember at the end of the war, like they were like Zhukov and Konev were like in competition to see who could take Berlin faster. They were like they even shot on their own troops, and I don't think they did it on purpose. But they're like, you know, there's guys over there, and, you know, like, don't even bother to check who it is, and just, you know, spray and pray without the praying part. Well, I don't know where the hell his nameplate went. It was right here. Hmm? Bloody hell. Oh, is this it? Yep. How did I end up over there? A comedy of errors without the comedy. And I'm going to do some SS guys too. But I think I'll wait a little bit. I think Painting Panzers is coming out with this, what colors to use from Vallejo. And I'm like, let him do all the homework. I'll see what his take is on it, and I'll probably do my own take. But I don't have any Russians. I mean, even if I get the SS painted, I don't have any Russians. You know, a handful of SS guys, you know. They're still not super elite dudes or anything. These guys are going to be like, you know, pushover, you know. But this guy does have an assault rifle, which I don't know if my game has stats for it. This Volkssturm Pistola, or I don't know what it. I don't know if it's a pistola. Volkssturm Gewehr, I think is what it's called. So it fires the same round the MP44 does, but jams a hell of a lot more, and probably has a more restricted range like an MP40. So if there's not stats for it, that's probably what I would do, is probably give it the same range as an MP40. In the hands of a child, you know, so he's... I don't know if I want to give these guys only one action per turn. That's a problem. I'd rather just give them crappier skills or something. But yeah, I was actually started when I was painting these guys. I'm like, oh, I think Downfall has some Hitler Youth in it, and it did. And I'm watching the movie, which I've seen before, but only once, and like, there's so much of it I don't remember. I'm like, man, I need to start watching this again. I mean, I skipped like the first 15 minutes because I wanted to get in the action, you know. And I remember really liking the movie, or I remember thinking the movie was well done. Oh, you like the movie that has a Hitler in it? I said, that's not where we're going with this. All right, this is Kurt, and Kurt needs a rock or two. Can you give them like a dice roll to see if they choke or hesitate in some way? Well, yeah, it's random to see who go activates next. I think that, you know, if you break, I mean, there's not rules for this, but like if you break down a door and there's somebody in there, like you shouldn't be able to like break down a door and like shoot anybody in there. It's like that's like the end of your turn. But the guy's turn could come up again. So somebody that breaks through could come in and go, oh, and they're having this staring contest and him shoot first, you know? But I think they should have a roll if you're like surprised. Like somebody breaks down your door and you're there, you know, whittling or something, you know. Even if you get to go next, you know, you've literally just spotted them moments before. So, dude, and I've got that building. I've got that building that I forgot I even had. I have a set of of really built up buildings that I've had for over 20 years. I got all my old buildings painted except these two. Because these are definitely, well, we'll call them a high rise. But I got two of these. They're not the same. And what's really cool about them is they got multiple levels, including a basement. A basement that connects between the two buildings. You know, there's a hole in between there. So yeah, this is like ideal. You know, and I was really happy with the way the other buildings turned out. So I know this will turn out well. It's just going to take a long time to paint it, but that's okay. You know, but I'm only planning on a 2x4, so you could have one of these, and the other one's a corner building. I didn't pull this one out the other day. Yeah, you've got, it sits on the corner here. And you literally go to, when the front door is actually up one level. But this is something that you need to have like little cardboard cutouts to the side, you know, because to give you an example, all right, let's do an example. I don't know if the camera is going to be able to pull this off. Let's raise the camera a little bit. And I think these things are still made by Lancer's Miniatures. They used to be made by a company called Queen's Hussars. That's when I got them. I'm pretty sure I got them through Brookhurst Hobbies in California. I'm pretty sure. Okay, we're a little taller than that. All right, let's get some height advantage here. All right, so if you look at something like this, there's all kinds of stuff that should be in there, but it's physically not there. So for instance, you've got this lower level here that you can cross in through this way. And there's also a double door here. You can access it from the courtyard, okay, into this lower area. And right above this, and this is solid, by the way, this piece happens to be solid, there's a door here, almost like a really big closet. So there's got to be a room in here that you can access through this door. So you need a little cardboard cutout that sits off to the side so your guys can move in there and something can happen. Now, there is, I don't know if you can make it out here, there is what do you call it? A railing here that leads to some kind of a staircase that just, you know, you can tell it's there, but it's not there. So that's probably another way to access this area down here. So this room deserves a little cutout, you know. And there's, like, for instance, there's windows here, but it's solid, but there'd be windows here. So whatever this little room, this little broom closet is, it has a couple little door openings in here, but it doesn't connect this way. So you're stuck in this part of the building. I think this would be, you know, I think it would be a really, really interesting. You know, lots of hidey holes and stuff for people to go. Yeah, well, there's two skills that everybody has: morale, and then your fighting skill. You know, your shooting. Basically, your morale and your training. So, you know, their training number is not going to be, their training number is going to be like green troops. And it's just a scenario. It doesn't have to be balanced. You know, it could be, I mean, the players could have a huge advantage over whoever they're fighting. And just be like, okay, don't lose more than half your squad or something, you know. Let's see what kind of narrative is going to happen. Anyway, so I've got this plus all the other buildings. I got bricks galore. How many bricks I ended up getting? So I think 16,000 bricks. Sounds like a lot, but it's not that much when you put them out there. So, all right, let's make sure that we don't have this overhanging the edge. I like the edge being smooth. And then, yeah, we got this Soviet guy nearly done. But this is where we're going to stop for today. Watch some TV with the wife. And I appreciate you guys finally coming in. Narrative parts, what I like the most about the game you're painting for. Absolutely. That's the most important part. I don't care who wins. I don't care who wins. I just want it to be interesting. You know? I want it to be interesting, and how you manage who comes next. You know, how you manage the chaos is what it's all about. So, all right, folks, thanks for coming by. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.